tutti si vedere, caira batu suere matre spura, tacerenti, Piri tutte le spagliano gente, su cui amatosci, te pacutro spiratu, ancora, cucina ma sulla ieri sera, te pacutro spagliato, te tutto.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Light Language Roundtable. And today I have myself, Vox Angeles, and Andana Sananda Kamara, and we are so happy to welcome Jerry Sargent. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, sisters. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you, Jerry. Mr. Star Magic is what I refer to you as. You're doing so many big things. It's so exciting for everybody to have an opportunity to hear where you land within the space of light language and sharing your light language. So I'm excited to have you present with us. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes, beautiful. And so, yeah, in following your work, you are very prevalent and you are doing some big and powerful things. And, I follow your website and so forth. So I am really happy to have you here today and to just kind of understand a little bit more of how this came to be for you. So that's really my first question to you, is to tell us a little bit about how did this all begin for you? How did you begin to speak light language?
I was with two of my friends and we were doing a breathwork routine. This is about 2018. And we were at my friend's house. There was the three of us and we're breathing and breathing. And I could feel this stuff in my belly. I didn't know what it was. And it just started coming up through my chest. And I was like, just go with it, just go with it. And it just kind of poured out of me this language. And I'd never actually even heard of it up until this point. And I started speaking and it felt so good. And then we finished the kind of breath work and I was trying to sort of speak it again and it wouldn't kind of quite come, but I just sort of like kept encouraging it. And then it just kept flowing and I couldn't kind of shut it up then. It was just coming out all the time. And yeah, I mean, speaking it in the morning, in the shower, just when I'm driving, just on video, sharing it with people with transmissions. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful medicine. You can heal other people with it. You can heal yourself with it. You can activate DNA. It's just amazing. Yeah, it just came about. It wasn't something I planned on kind of activating. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm curious to know if this awareness of light language, did that come before or after your accident? Because I'm pretty familiar with your story and how you kind of began your awakening journey. Did it come before or after
It was
that?
after, yeah, the
Yeah.
accident was back in like 2005-ish. And this happened in 2018. I mean, the accident happened with the car crash and woke me up. And loads of amazing things were happening, but I was still in my kind of old life. And I was resisting this new stuff so much. But the universe just kept whipping my butt and a few things happened. And in the end, yeah, I kind of went on this path, and surrendered to it all. But it wasn't without a struggle and a fight.
What would your definition of light language be? I mean, if someone comes up to you and says, "What is light language?" How do you answer that?
I always say it's like a vibrational tongue. It's like it's a language of the heart. It's something that we all have the ability to speak. It's in all of us. Our soul has spoken this language for eons. When we've been on other planets, on other star systems, we communicate in this different dialects. And there's multiple different dialects too, from different species and different galactic races. And what is really important to help to kind of share with people is you're never going to understand it if you try and understand it. You've got to kind of just be in the frequency of it, breathe, be in your body, be in your heart, and absorb the frequencies, absorb the codes. And if you're still with them, they kind of download into you, and then you get this kind of internal knowing. And you know what it means, but you can't kind of think what it means, but you just have this internal knowing. And then that internal knowing, it translates to something that you can kind of share with people.
Fascinating, fascinating. Do you have a bead on the source from which your light language flows? Do you know, or do you hone in on a specific source?
Yeah, so a lot of the time I'm speaking like a Lyran dialect. Sometimes I speak like this dragon dialect. I have spoken Arcturian, and sometimes there's different councils that come in and speak when I'm in a seminar or a workshop, and there's loads of people. These different councils will sort of want to share a message, so I kind of like share that with people, you know. So yeah, I mean, mostly Lyran, but there are other ones that come through from time to time.
I'm curious how, because in doing this work, we can most definitely witness how it's affecting people. And people tell us, I felt it in this manner. This is what my experience was, and so forth. And I'm curious how you feel that light language is actually interacting with people's physical body and the energetic field.
Yeah, so I mean, we have this physical framework, okay, and we've got our light body which holds this physical framework. We've got our soul. I mean, there's multiple elements of this physical, mental, emotional, spiritual architecture. And what happens is when you speak light language, okay, your body's like an instrument. So what happens is when the language flows into your field, it's triggering and activating this musical instrument in the most phenomenal way. I remember a few years ago, we were in Holland and we were running a plant medicine retreat at ayahuasca. And this guy, he walks over to the side. He said, "Jerry, I need some help." He said, "My back, I'm in a bad way." So I went over to see him. And as soon as I walked into his field, something happened. And this frequency came through my body. And it was like my throat opened in a way that you can't actually open it. And my chest expanded and my kind of jaw, it felt like it was really, really apart. And these frequencies were coming out of me. And I didn't even take a breath. And it was so strange. It was the first time that this level of light language has happened to me. And it went on for maybe 10, 15 minutes. I don't know. But this frequency was drilling down his spinal column. Okay. And his spinal column was absorbing the frequencies, and his body was just shifting, shifting. He was shaking, he was crying. And all of the blockages, all of the energy that was stuck in his system, it just came flying out. His back got better and he was just in a great space. That's like a profound level of light language, that and it has the ability to cut through the humanness. It has the ability to cut through the thoughts, the programming, the belief systems, all of that stuff, and it gets straight into at a DNA level. And our bodies are like biological computers. Like our body and brain is literally a computer system. We're uploading and downloading all the time, and we store data in our DNA. So when you speak light language, you have the ability to literally cut in and start to bring so much light and frequency into the DNA that it just starts to wipe out that old programming, and it makes room for new light, new data to come through. And people have biological upgrades, shake, bend, twist, scream, cry, laugh, all these different things when they're releasing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've heard many people talk about, well, specifically, I've heard Billy Carson in particular talk about how the human body itself is almost like a data collection unit, which is intended to receive and transmit information back as you make way for new information. As you release old information, new information is being received in that way. And you also mentioned the correlation with frequency in music, and you're like the second person who's mentioned within the summit the correlation between energetics, frequency, and music, harmonics, being able to hear and attune the vessel in that way. It's interesting because I've experienced that myself as far as singing and being able to hear things are out of tune, out of pitch, out of tune in the field, and singing those in light language, singing to those and experience them break up and be brought into a state of tune and balance, a state of harmony. It's interesting how all of this works. Really, it's so interesting how this works. Yeah, I can't think of a question. I kind of lost my thought in the midst of that, but it's just fascinating how all of this works. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have this field of energy around us, through us, I mean, our field is massive. And,
Yeah.
sometimes there's blemishes in our field. Sometimes there's, bits and pieces in our field that shouldn't really be there that we've either picked up or uploaded. And when you speak the frequency goes in and just clears it all out. Like what you were saying about uploading and downloading. I mean, we've got 10 billion miles of DNA in our body, and we can store 35 million hours of high definition video, 35,000 terabytes of data. That's in our DNA. You've got your nervous system, which is 45 miles of electrical wiring. So we can store so much light, biophotons, and there's so much data inside of them. Like when we're training people to heal with star magic, the first thing we do is to prepare their body. Like so many people run frequency through their hands. But what we do is we help people remember how to run frequency and emit code from their whole nervous system. So they're literally emitting electromagnetic waves, data out from their whole body. So they become a walking, talking healing machine. When you're just running energy through your hands, you're overloading the electrical system in your hands, and that's not good for you. You can get vertigo, heart problems, kidney pain, all sorts of stuff. But when you start to become like a beacon of just frequency, you don't even have to put much effort in. And it's the same in everything in life. When you're prepared, it just works. When you're not prepared, you often miss those opportunities. So for us, actually healing, whether you're using light language or using codes that you're kind of running, from different star systems or whatever it is, you have to be prepared. Your vessel has to be in tune. And so this musical instrument has to be vibrating correctly. And if it's vibrating correctly, you're going to emit the right frequencies and codes to help whoever it is around you. And everywhere we go, we're uploading and downloading. We're downloading into the earth. We're uploading from the earth, from the stars, back up again. We're communicating with the trees. When you walk down the road, there's highways of communication, of light codes. Everybody's sharing with each other. It's just the way that it is. It's a constant kind of network, data streams. If you have your third eye tapped in and you walk around and you look, it's mind-boggling what's going on.
I think it's interesting when you're talking about becoming a beacon of frequency, because I think that really does state how, well, with any spiritual pursuit, it's about embodying that and allowing it to be your experience, allowing yourself to express that out into the world. And in that sense, I can see visually that what kind of came to mind was we have the ability to create. So we have the ability to disassemble or dismantle our creations and recreate that. And I think that light language can be expressed in such a way as a force of creation, but also as a force of change and a force that transforms and transmutes. But I lost what I was expressing. I was going to say, but it is, when you're talking about how to word this, when you're talking about it is I think it's a full body expressive force. is what it's meant to be, and not just to be drawing energy down and like beaming it out of your hands or what have you. I think that it's a full force of expression that is truly who we are. And that light language assists and guides us into that full expression.
Absolutely. I mean, every single one of us is radically unique. We're all cut from the same cloth, originally from source, whatever you want to call it, the universe. But ultimately, we're all expressing, unique patterns, unique frequencies, and light language. When you share it, you transmit it. It's coming from every cell in your being. You can't just sort of be there and just speak light language. There's a deeper connection when it comes out of you. Like if you just speak it, then yeah, you're speaking light language, but unless you get that kind of connection through your divine spark into the God worlds, that pure resonance, then it's never going to be really that effective. So it has to be a full embodiment, because we're talking about packets of data. You look at like English words, like they're so archaic. Speaking in this language is just it's so far behind where we need to be. Like when you speak in light language, you're downloading so much data in a short period of time. It's like if you take the word, I was likening it to this, you take the word Christmas tree, okay, or just Christmas. So the word Christmas, you can associate that with Christmas tree, baubles, snow, snowman, turkey, presents, lights, whatever it is. Like there's all these bits and pieces of data that are associated with that one word. And that's what light language is like. Each kind of shiadiam or whatever it is you're kind of sharing with people. There's so much in that tiny little piece of language, and it goes way beyond what we can intellectually understand. It literally drills to the core of our being and activates us and communicates with us on a level beyond what we're understanding with our conscious mind.
That's fascinating. Do you have, I've heard many people speak about the relationship between the history of light language being tied to a time before the Tower of Babel and things like that. It's the way that the creator gods came within this earth plane and spoke things into creation. Do you have a concept or an idea of how this language came into being? Do you have a concept on the history of light language?
I mean, I always go back to Avion. So Avion in the Lyran system, where they had the very, very first Garden of Eden, I remember being there with certain tribes. We're talking billions of years ago. And back then we were speaking this kind of language. So it's something that's always been with us all the way from way back when. And beings coming down onto this earth plane, yes, they could speak things into existence with their light language. I mean, we speak things into existence with the English language. Our words are spells. They carry an electrical charge. Our emotions carry a magnetic charge. And when you infuse the electrical charge with the magnetic, you're literally creating in real time. So you start to do that with the human language. You take that to light language, like the human language on steroids. You're creating at a much more rapid rate. And so we can create with our minds. We can create with our voice. We can create in so many different ways. Yes, speaking it into existence, thinking it into existence, seeing it into existence, like at a higher dimensional level, all of these things are possible. Everything's just now, now, now. It's very quick. It's only down here on Earth in this third, fourth dimensional space that we've got like a buffer. There's a buffer between what we're thinking and feeling and it materializing in our reality. So in a way, it's kind of it's good because not everything happens so quickly and we get time to readjust if we say something or do something that we don't really want. You go up to a higher frequency band, you haven't got that luxury. It's just boom, it's happening straight away. So you've really got to have a higher level of self-awareness, a high level of presence and responsibility, because you're literally casting spells all the time.
I love that you are expressing it in that way, because it really does follow my line of thinking. And I think on Donna's too, that light language is really a deeply enriched experience that is much more than just tapping into something and allowing this language to flow. And you said that so eloquently, that it isn't in, I wouldn't call it, well, it could be a methodology, a technology, a what have you, but there's so many other facets to it that go deeper and higher to make it more potent, and the efficacy more potent for like healing and so forth. And that's such a beautiful and expansive way to look at it from that instance. There's so many people that speak light language, but there isn't necessarily that philosophy or anything behind it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like it comes back to this kind of channeling, like for me, like, you know, I mean, channeling can be really powerful, but what are you channeling? Like a lot of people they just tap in and they just spit light language, and they don't always know where it's coming from. And there are some frequencies that can slide in through the stream that you're emitting that aren't always pleasant. We have dark and light. We have, high vibrational, low vibrational forces at work in this game that we're playing. And so it is very important to be very centered and present and actually know what it is that you're connecting with, because it's very easy for other forces to use us human avatars as vessels to put their, not so very good stuff out into the space. So we have to take responsibility for that. And some people don't.
Right. That's a great point. How would you recommend somebody get present and get centered? How is one able to get centered and know where they're vibing frequency wise?
Yeah, I mean, it's a constant practice. Anyone, if someone watches this video that's, been in a 9 to 5 and, you know, had a party lifestyle, and they just come across a video like this and they think, yeah, I'm just going to get present. Very unlikely that it's going to happen. We got 80 to 90,000 thoughts flying around in our heads every day. Those thoughts are draining our energy. Most people are breathing into their chest and not their belly, so they're activating their fear receptors, not their calm receptors, like these little basic things. And so it is a constant discipline, a constant wanting to evolve as a human and better yourself every single day and show up as your most extraordinary version. So like whenever we're sharing star magic with people, exercise, breath work, clean eating, intermittent fasting, meditation, like all of these things, that you can't just do one or the other, but they should all be part of your kind of lifestyle. And if you breathe deeply and you walk around slowly and you practice breathing and just observing your reality, then you can come into that present moment. Like most people are inside here. And when you're kind of rattling around in your head, there's a 0.25 second window between stimulus and response. So most people react, and it's never that pleasant. When you're in your belly and you're breathing deeply, then that 0.25 second window becomes much more extended. You've got space between you and everything that's happening in your external environment. And you then get to put yourself in the position where you can become an observer of life, an observer of your reality. And when you're observing, there's no judgment, there's no thoughts, it's just you're in pure presence and beingness. And from there, you can operate. But to stay there, it actually requires you to put some focus and dedication into it every single day. Don't get up in the morning and turn your phone on. Don't engage in the world. Don't engage in social media. You've got to wake up in the morning, and the first thing you've got to do is go back in here, breathe for a little bit, do some qigong, go outside, sun gaze, go for a jog, like spend some time on your own, loving you, because you're the most important human being on planet Earth. And from there, you can create magic.
I love that you mentioned Qigong. That's one of my practices, and I've done it for years and got out of the habit of doing it. But within the last 3 weeks, I've started back doing it every day, going out and greeting the sun. This is what I call it. And that Qigong practice becomes this lot of hand, this involuntary movement where I'm just moved by the frequency that exists, the currents that exist outside. I I'm wanting you to touch on a bit of the importance of connecting with nature and connecting into that space, allowing yourself to observe nature, commune with nature. Where have you found the importance of that? What is the value in doing that?
Yeah, I mean, when you go into nature, especially with your shoes and socks off and you walk in the forest or you're on the sand, and there's no one around, then you completely connect and at the same time completely disconnect. You're away from all of those frequencies, that are flying through the space everywhere in cities and towns. And you go into a space where it's just the wood, the leaves, the insects, the animals. And when you're there, it's very, very silent. You might hear the rustling of the leaves, like little twigs breaking with insects walking on, or you walking on twigs. And all of these sounds, if you're very present, they penetrate you, at a level that is just, it's very healing. Just being in that space, like going into the woods, going into the jungle for, 3 hours, half a day. I mean, it's so revitalizing, hugging a tree. I like to kind of sit down, put my feet on the earth, run the frequencies from the earth up through my body, bring the electrical currents down from my crown and merge in my center and let the electrical run down in the planet and the magnetic to run up to the stars and get that kind of alchemization, that holy grail, running through the body. It's just energizing, it's activating, it's uplifting, it's calming, it's balancing. You can't beat it. Or even going into the ocean and swimming, getting under the water. You get under the water and you're swimming. There's no sound. It's beautiful, you know?
That reminds me of one of our speakers was talking about that she's becoming or has become a walking prayer. And to me that speaks of just really full embodiment of this work that we're doing. And there are walking meditations. And I just thought, what a beautiful way to really bring yourself to this full alignment and center by really acknowledging when I am fully embodied, I am in this existence, I am a walking prayer that then just from my very nature of being affects those around me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. With all of this said, and the fact that you obviously embody your light language, that's become a very, very much become a part of you. How's your family acclimated to your embodiment of this current version of you?
Yeah, I mean, when I started the Star Magic journey, I mean, I was married and it put massive gaps in our relationship. And so we ended up splitting up and the children stayed with me. My wife went off and did her thing, and the children traveled and came to all the trainings with me, all the meditation groups, all the workshops. They traveled the world. Both of them speak light language. We have light language conversations sometimes. Yeah, my daughter only started speaking it last November at a plant medicine retreat, and Josh has been speaking it a little bit longer, my son. But the three of us, they embrace it. They actually were when we first started Star Magic, like they embraced it. And then they were going through their teenage years, so they kind of came up against this resistance. I mean, I pulled them out of school like before all of this, so they didn't kind of have to go to school, but they had friends and stuff that they go and see, and they sort of play it down, like like their dad's a bit weird or whatever it is. But yeah, like at some point they sort of turned the corner and then fully embraced it again. And I mean, my son travels everywhere with me. He comes to every workshop, every group healing, every training. And my daughter, she actually works, in Star Magic. She's what we call a star buddy. She works with all of our Infinity members that listen to all of our tools, guiding them and helping them. So, yeah, I mean, they love it.
Nice. That's awesome. My kids are the same way. My son actually came into the world speaking light language. Only I wasn't awake at the time enough to know exactly what he was doing, but I fully remember it. He has no clue, but it was almost as if he was attempting to wake me up because I remember him doing it one day and I didn't get it. I didn't understand what he was saying. And he did this right here. And he was like 2 or 3 when he did that. But he's since both of them have since kind of stopped playing in that realm, but they kind of dab, they go back and forth, a little bit, and they're in those teenage years. So I'm pretty sure they'll eventually come back. But that's great, a great point that
It's
you.
good to have you as a mother that encourages it, you know. I mean, some kids get shut down. So having a mum or a dad or both that are into this stuff, it helps them, you know, be comfortable with all of that. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, I remember when my daughter was she doesn't really remember it, but the same thing when she was little, she would make inferences about who is that man who came to visit me, type of thing. So she was seeing these beings, and so there was obviously that child, like, they're not still stunted or stilted or whatever. It's kind of like they know, they have that knowing. And then when she was a teenager, all of a sudden I was really weird. Everything I did was weird, right? And if I tried to like pull her into anything, no, she didn't want anything to do with it. And I don't know that, I think she's open now just to what I do. But it's really interesting what I've discovered with both my daughter and my husband, who isn't into at all in alignment with what it is that I do within his own life. He's really, really supportive of what I do. And he knows that what I do positively affects people, and that is a good thing, right? Right. But it's so important, even if people are not kind of walking in alignment, it's really important to have family members or close friends around you that kind of have an understanding or acknowledge what it is that you're doing and are supportive of that. Because I think we need that community. So I wanted to ask you, Jerry, share with us, in looking back at your life when all of this started, how do you feel that light language has transformed your own life?
Hmm. It's definitely helped me become more confident, you know, because I mean, for me as a human being, like I've always had like rejection stuff. I was fostered, adopted as a kid. My mother was tortured when she gave birth to me. I was raped as a baby. My first school teacher pulled my pants down and smacked my bum. And, I had this kind of like intro to the world where like, women were just like not my favorite person, you know? And so, um, I've had all of this rejection with the feminine going on, and it's been a healing process, it's taken a lot to keep diving in and just recalibrating and finding those little pieces and bringing it into healing, and light language has definitely helped. I remember when I was about 13 or 14 years old, I was just starting puberty, and I had to give this talk um, at a local church. It was from through our school, and I had to practice. So I went up on stage in the school. It was an all boys school, okay? And I'm on the stage and I'm giving this speech, and my voice squeaks because I'm breaking, because I'm going through puberty, and everybody laughed at me. And you can imagine with rejection issues, it just crushed me. So then I have to go to the church and I give the talk, and I was sweating. It was a horrible experience, but I got through it. But anyway, I've had these kind of rejection things for years, and coming out and just speaking light language and not caring what anyone thinks, like you have to be in that sort of, I would call it an unfuckwithable mindset. You just don't really care. You're just like, this is me, this is who I am, take it or leave it, and you just let it flow. And I think it's definitely helped me grow in confidence, and it's been very healing for me too. The amount of times that I've laid there and just spoke light language, and the activations and the recalibrations and the downloads, it's just next level.
Yeah, I think that's so pivotal, and it's such a crucial point because it speaks to get into a space where you honor yourself, right? That self-love, self-acceptance, and you're able to walk in that authentic essence of self because when you're walking in your truth, you are you, and you know that everybody is themselves. You honor the sovereignty in everybody you meet because you honor the sovereignty in yourself, and so you're able to hold your ground in a state of pure confidence because no one else can validate you because no one else is you, right? So you're completely free to be you. So I think that's such a great point that you made, such a beautiful point. Yeah.
Mm.
And what you were sharing, is there, and I think you kind of answered this in talking about, going out in nature and using your light language. But as far as like do you, for you, do you believe that there is kind of a practical daily application of light language within mundane life that is beneficial and that you do for yourself? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you why I was smiling in a minute. So, like, definitely, if you wake up in the morning, just you get in the shower, right? Everybody has a shower in the morning. I mean, so for me, number one, it's got to be cold because there's so many benefits to a cold shower. Number two, that frequency that's running down, I always connect it to something else. So I quantum entangle the water running through my body with some kind of frequency. So I'm washing through my body as I'm in the shower. Then you start to add light language to the equation. You haven't got to take up any extra time. You're in the shower anyway. Why not speak 3, 4, 5 minutes of light language? So you're activating your body. You've got the cold water. You've got the crystalline codes coming down through the water. You're literally switching yourself on in 5 minutes in the morning. You're like, right, now I'm ready for the day. And then you might go out for a jog, or you might go to the gym, or you might go and do some breath work. You are literally charged. When you start like applying these tools to yourself every morning, like you walk around like an armored tank. Like there's all this stuff in the empty space. There's people, there's always things trying to drag you down, derail your train. But those bullets just rebound off you because you're so in the zone. And if everyone just spent a little bit of time on themselves every morning, life would be a much easier kind of flowy place. It wouldn't be so difficult for people, but people don't take care of themselves.
Well, I know that you have a number of, like on your website, you have a number of transmissions that you do for specific purposes. Then, do you yourself regularly listen to your own transmissions for your own benefit?
Always. So like we have like a vault on our app, so you can download the meditations, you can put them into the vaults, okay, and you can turn off the Wi-Fi, turn your phone into airplane mode, and you can just literally listen. We've got like fat loss, weight loss meditations, and people have lost 30, 40, 50 pounds over a few months just by listening to them. We've got meditations that people can exercise. So in their mind, they're exercising, so they're asleep, but actually exercising. There's ones for downloading vitamins and minerals, so people can become very healthy in their sleep. Frequency is amazing. I just wanted to sort of come back because I was sort of giggling to myself a minute ago. I didn't explain why. Because you asked me the question before the last one, and you asked me like, how can we apply light language? So I've done it a few times, like going into a meeting. So you're going into a meeting with people, and the atmosphere is a little bit funny. There's a little bit of tension in the room. And you can just sit there and go, whatever, you speak your language, and everyone's like, it shocks them into sort of like the present moment, and some people are like, what the heck was that? But it's really good for alchemizing a space like that, and just people's hearts pop open, they align, and everyone's on that frequency. Then there's so many different ways you can apply it.
Oh, you brought up a great point. So you mentioned and articulated the fact that you utilize light language for yourself and others. Do you use it to harmonize phases? I know people who do, they channel symbols and whatnot and utilize them in spaces to harmonize the frequencies and all of those things. Do you use it in that way as well?
Yeah, if we're going to run a training or a group healing, you're hiring a hotel, or you're hiring some kind of venue which has had lots of foot traffic. You don't know where those people have been, who they are. So you have to really cleanse the space. So we have a whole process when we go into a building, of putting grids up, making sure there's no portals, reworking the ley lines and the water lines. I mean, there's a whole different whole process. But once you kind of got all of that structure in place, then you got to speak some light language, you know, and we connect, you know, to these guys, and yeah, just run different frequencies, different dialects, and just harmonize the whole space. Pretty loud, you know, really getting that frequency up, amplified, hearts wide open. The whole team's in a circle, holding hands. It's powerful.
Well, on that note, I think that this might be a wonderful time, and then we can speak some more afterwards, uh, for you to provide an experiential demonstration of your light language. And if there's any type of anything that you would like our audience to do in preparation, please do state that before you begin. And then I'm going to go ahead and pin you. And just please share what it is that you would like to share. And we'll see you on the other side.
Thank you very much. So, for those of you beautiful souls that are here in the space right now listening, if you just want to close your eyes, just breathe into your body, and just settle down into this space. And know that we're sisters and brothers on this planet. We're a human family. Multi-dimensional beings having this human experience. Breathe deeper and longer and slow. And be here now. Melt into this moment. And be open to receive the keys and the codes that come through in this transmission. I have so much love and respect for each and every one of you. Tiara mutuku shakana shero maria mutaria shatuka. Shiu muyatiki. Emuria mataria mutaria shatatatata. Kuiu. Shiama shero wataki. Sia mataria mo shiria mataria ta. Kuiu. Zimu shana ekaria motoria. Siria mataria mashatututu. Shiu kamatoro mutuki. Feel your hearts expanding and expanding and expand. Era matremuto kirimere maria matrohuria mashata. Shiua anaria motoki. Seremar, seremitri motoro watatatata. Shikwa. Siaria motoki. Teria motoro motua. Ensura. Enziemutaria muta. Aku ana lemu shrieku. Laun eo a rata an kuve. Sekua sheremat riemua sekiri. Tuiu. Tuiu. Shiamatayanaka. Shuia kuata kumutu shiria materie. Serumutu kiaria shakata. Feel those diamond frequencies, those codes, that crystalline spiral flowing down through your crown into your perineum, those magnetic diamond light codes spiraling up from the planets, up through Mother Earth's surface, up through your body and into your higher heart. This electrical and magnetic connection, activating your DNA, opening your heart, reminding you that you are a superhuman. Tiaria shoya ta ta ta. Kiu mutu matariemo shariemo karieku asha una tia tara tero samatrimutu kiria matri. Sariama sharaki. Shia sha ta 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 ta. Shui. Shia shanakara. Tuia tamutu kiaria shata. Breathe into your body. Feel your body. The vibration in your bones, the tingle in your cells, the frequency in every muscle. We're going to count from 5 back to 0. When we get to 0, open your eyes, come back into this space and just be. 5, Kiariesh. 4, Aratumutuki. 3, Zeku Enu. 2, Jiashanaka. 1, Kariemushamater. 0. Whenever you're ready, open your eyes, come back into this space, and just be. Feel your body, feel your energy, feel the space. Be here now. I love you, beautiful souls. Thank you for allowing me to share with you in this space. Honor and a pleasure.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for that beautiful transmission. Yeah. It's nice to have that. It's nice to see a man standing in his power, allowing himself to deliver his light language, because it's something that I don't see often, right? I don't have the opportunity to experience often. I know very few men, I know I can count on my hand too, in addition to you, who are willing and present enough to stand and deliver their light language in such a way. So this was a beautiful opportunity. So thank you for sharing.
That was so just lovely and enriching. But it was interesting as you were talking, you're bringing through such a beautiful presence. So there's almost like a physicality to it. There's like a presence here that I could see in alignment with what you were saying. Saying right. You had said something, and I apologize. I was going to talk about it, and it just totally went out of my head. I'm not quite in my body yet. Darn. I totally lost it, but maybe it'll come. But I could see that. I could sense. I could see too, but I could in my mind's eye. But I could sense just this presence that was being brought in. Oh, I like the way that you speak of the electric and magnetic aspect of this work, because very few people do. And that's kind of how I see the work that I do as well. I'm always talking about the electrical aspect within the body, the nervous system and so forth, the geomagnetic forces that come up from the earth and all of that. So it's really wonderful in the way that you express that and really tie that into the quote definition of what you're doing or what people might be sensing. That is wonderful. I think, did you have anything else to share there? Okay. I think then this would be a good time to go into, because we're kind of still in this space, to go into our Trinity, what we're calling a Trinity light language dialogue, where the three of us are speaking to each other. So I will begin, and then Andona will be second, and then Jerry will be third, and we'll go through that Trinity until Spirit tells me that we're complete. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
All right. Hittukuira mato shatandrebi rayu. Ne bekar mato trispiacere eri culturi ma mato ci shandretia. A tiata cacandiere turo pe cost. Ande guri bikiri menatateris tis ni shandra ki tutrum. Ero kuture resutre spakayen indri. Si chete kadundro kur. Hasete mega manur satatierin.
Veru kamaita do shite te mai isenda te kai shinda te ke mi atanda kai isenda te kau shite te ba aitanda kai per kai aso te me per ko ma uahi da kai so te me per ko ma uahi a tu kam per ka ma hi to ka ba uahi da kai isenda me o por kai ya san per ka ma ushinda te ke ma atia ni shundre me aso te kai isenda ma u per kai inde so te me viri sante ya so te me a para kai isenda a so te kai Verra son, verja, isham, kai, sa.
Shiamataria. Tiariemu areash tarmutukia. Tariamuturia tatatata. Shiamatrieko ashana watu mekiriesh miarienu. Sakriamutaria shatua takia metrua. Shia putuki. Shia tumutaka. Semuriamu sharia tayana watiriesh. Tiriesh niakaya muatarie. Suya shakana shiki. Siamua shiama shika.
Itika tutter spatia desender. Du kuina matatje so pukuire. Du satati inderu. En där kututondre spirita katainder. Itja kutrimbi och dore sikitjanta. Ate kutri spirjan. Ate kutuno mono terir pisur. Mbakatia taru, arabayo, terekerera, sitierena, notore, e chi pugnama tu sundre spiria. Catiaca mononore, apaye hotia, ero cosio moterere sicia. Ero so curia matasciere me gondro il piro, tetiande catura, catere, tatore, e se pecondre spicciandere, edo dura pecanuture spiccian, e ceregeno ature.
Minua siuatia ma huatia hadi kai perrea sutremea mote sandratu ahia ma ua verka mote sandrea vude kaiendo sutreme aparo kaiendo sutreme abrika yote mate aso verra sianda kai siandra ve mutunde ya sandreat verka mausi andrea to kai verka yot sendreme asonde verka yonda sutreme atokai inde sutreme apur be adniata sati atsante ashotreme avoru kainda cierre soterme o mauru hierra sando kai merkaya do soterme avaruka nio soterme asinda kai damo ua rehande asande asho veru kaya sondreme tu kande asho tre kai meraka shundre atu amasande asatra a hur kaya sanda hur kaya na sandreme atu ha medahi sandre kaya maroko shendre atu ad herra sanda kai ita verra sonde isho
Tiamataria. Kiesh. Lara mutukia. Anohera matria mushekia tumutuki. Zia shakua. Ziaria mutuki. Aria mutukitiku. Shiu. Muyama sharia matarieko. Sariama sharia tuatakiu. Shiatamataka. Shia sharakua. Azremutukiemu. Erimutukiu. Shatatatatata. Shoo.
Ikuja, abuja samadiere kulture spacciando da gere, ne mendo huria, ne kote shapoena matiers tutundere spira kapaya. Nere kura potuna na tiri, do tsura negera potushan, da kaima no dura spicha paera kura. Nare besukima not iria siria situra, ne pore de tura ma kuchambare, e chekendi tura, satuta bere pura sirin, hambatura tura, kishiri manamakatura pascendere, hariara cura, hasura jajambo, heri cure
Rushita Matia, Desandra Corrica, Yesandra Mutia Sindracat, Verra sotreme avuru candia shutea, Herisinder game uatia, Chandrea duandi su, Hira Sandra Mahiat, Verracaya sotreme atanda, Uruke me atakain, Zerin de Oshotan, Verakain de O, Perin de An, Veracon de ASEAN, Verun de An, Forun, Sirika Mahia, Ducani, Shotramati, Atsande, Asho, Sierra Sandra Caimia, Duas and the Kerkvot, Hera Sondramaitan, Veasundere Mevorukayan, the Sotriat, Hiri de Shon de Ad, Sarisia, Miracon de Ad, Verind, Ishon, Ashe, Miracaya Sotramet, Ver, Ishon.
Triamutuki, Tramashariatariash, Tianakua, Satumatrie, Sishu Antriaka Atoua, Natariamutai Kayana Shatatahua, Sikia Mushayanasha, Shia Shu Sa Sha Ta 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 Ta, Yatamutuki, Remo Sharia Matrieko Shia Mutuki Ashata. Shiu. Kiyamoto kana shanatoto humataria motayana seramotoki. Shia shata ta 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 ta. Kiu kara tona. Entria motariash shatata. Kiu natuya motokiria tu. Shakuma shataya. Shia shariemu arietu asha nukimate. Sha shu.
Perequemina sutre, atiatapura, tu sutu respikira notru, aducura massasiere samamamakataya. Breathe. Kirimina motore, spusure, sepaquera, matrispiri, matera hura, capasapapatre, desuja macaiere, we are complete. Take a few deep breaths together here. Thank you, beautiful beings. That was extraordinary. It's such a lovely experience to do these trinities, because it takes on kind of a life of its own. It's a whole other thing. And I said earlier that it was like, we understand it. At least I do. In a sense, in a soul sense, it's like you are my brother, you are my sister, and there's just this almost an intangible. Well, it is intangible, but it's not something that you can see. But it's just that it crosses. I mean, it transcends all boundaries. There's not anything that's definable about it. And so when it hits the heart and the soul recognizes exactly what's being said, there's like this beautiful stream of conversation that you can allow yourself to just settle into. That is just so beautiful.
Yeah. I don't even know that I can classify it as a conversation, right? It's just this interweaving of consciousness, of frequency, of vibrations that you just allow yourself to feel. And I think in this moment to try to frame it in with some verbiage would do a disservice, because it was just so profoundly powerfully activating. Wow. Yeah, to just sit in this space and allow the body to come into resonance with that vibration, that frequency, that goes beyond words. It's beyond words. Yeah, this is beautiful. Yeah.
How was that experience for you, Jerry?
Loved it. Awesome. Yeah, loved it. Loved the co-creation. loved the, the alchemization of frequency and code. It was just, yeah, there's no words. It was just beautiful. Yeah, on every level, you know?
I really like, I don't know if it was you, Jerry, if it was someone else, but kind of talking about it as music, right? And and that's kind of what I mean by language, because I think music is a language
Yeah.
as well. But it's a form of a language that's undefinable by, by the mind, right? And thusly, it's just this stream of consciousness that we can allow to be fully affecting, because we really don't have to understand it. We don't have to know what's happening or know what's being said, right? We can just kind of relax into that stream. Wow. Okay. That was beautiful. Well, Jerry, do you have anything that you would like to share with our audience to kind of that they can utilize on a day-to-day basis to kind of keep themselves connected with this energy? What would you
Yeah,
suggest?
it's just something really simple, the thing is, people try and overcomplicate all this stuff. It doesn't have to be complicated. So when you wake up in the morning and before you go to bed at night time, and if you feel like doing it throughout the day, do it. Just you can stand there with your feet shoulder width apart. You can sit there with your feet shoulder width apart. And I want you to kind of just visualize or feel yourself in like a blue sapphire sphere. And just feel yourself inside that sphere and then connect. Okay, just set the intention to connect to Stargate 12, which gives you a link up to the God worlds, and just ask for the crystalline codes from the God worlds to flow down through Stargate 12 all the way down into your perineum. And then ask for the crystalline spiral to flow from Mother Earth's heart up through your body into your higher heart. And what will happen is these frequencies will hang around for a little while in your heart and your perineum, your kundalini, and then the magnetic will flow all the way up to the God worlds, and the electrical will flow all the way down to Mother Earth's heart. And you'll get this interweaving of electrical and magnetic. What happens, you don't have to even try and do this, it just happens, is this cylinder appears around your body. Now, if you imagine, once the magnetic codes get up into space, they meet with the electrical energy, and it's like the king and the queen on the thrones. They just merge. They become the Holy Grail and stream back down through your body. All of this stuff just happens. All you've got to do is visualize yourself in the blue sphere, connect to Stargate 12, bring the codes from the God worlds down into your perineum, the electrical energy, and the magnetic codes from Mother Earth's heart up into your higher heart. That's it. And then just breathe. Just take several long, slow, deep breaths, and then boom, go up into your day. Do the same at nighttime. If you feel like doing it in the daytime, just to amplify your field. Once you've done this for a few days or a couple of weeks, this field will just start getting stronger and stronger. And you might only need to do it in the morning, you know? So just play around with it. Very simple thing.
It's is there a significance to the color blue sapphire field?
So inside our hearts, we have a divine spark. Like all sentient beings on Earth have them. Well, not all sentient beings, but all humans have them. And this gives us a direct link up to the God worlds. And this diamond spark, when you communicate with it and invite it into your life, it actually grows and expands into a little diamond flame. And then what happens as it turns into a roaring diamond fire, it goes from diamond to like this blue sapphire color. And then it expands out around your body. Like we've got a meditation that we do every morning where we connect to the diamond spark. And what happens is when you open up the communication with the spark, you're literally getting direct information from source. So you're like a robot. All you got to do is just stay present and listen, and it will guide you everywhere. You haven't even got to think, you haven't got to try. It just knows exactly what's the best for you, and everything just happens. We try and intellectualize everything and make things so complicated, when really, if we just became present, we're in the flow. But we're in a world that's kind of quite chaotic, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So it's not easy, but with practice and a bit of dedication, everyone can get there.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Jerry, for saying yes and coming and joining us at the Light Language Roundtable. We truly appreciate you, and I was so excited to have you on board to share a little bit about your work, and it's wonderful to get to know you, and I'm sure we'll see you again. um, did you have anything that you would like to say on Donna in closing? Nancy?
This was a beautiful experience. It was a pleasure getting an opportunity to know you, a pleasure sharing in this wonderful light language dialogue experience. It's been also fantastic. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
And with that, I will say goodbye to our beautiful audience, and thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much, Jerry, for being here today, and Andana for sharing in this beautiful experience. And we will see you next time.
Tutti se vedre, caira batu suere matre spura, tacerente. Perché tutti rispagliano a gente, su cui amatoscia, te pacutro spiratura, ancora. Continua a suonare ieri sera, te pacutro spagnato, te tu.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.